TV Tem. The future is yonder a simulator.
Marco Antonio Conseco Fio, known on the internet only as Marco Antonio or by the names Marco_Matthias, Marcoiso, and Marco CZ007, is a former YouTuber of gameplay and television content and a future inmate. He became famous for plagiarizing several channels from the television community, as well as harassing various people. The oldest records of Marco Antonio's controversial actions on the internet date back to 2019, when he copied the name of Southampton with Yumi the Plays, an old channel of Pedro Vanucci, currently the owner of the Pedro_Soren channel, which had over 4,000 subscribers and was deleted in 2021. 1. Marco Antonio Refio's channel homepage in 2022. In 2022, Marco Antonio maintained a channel known as Marco Antonio Refio's. Yes, the word reviews was spelled with that exact spelling, and on this channel, he already plagiarized the graphics and content of Pedro, who at the time maintained a channel called Pedro Vanucci X, and it was around this time that the Santa Catarina native began hosting lives titled Lives do Marco Antonio, Marco Antonio's Lives. 1. Shortly after, the lives were renamed Lives do Marco Antonio Concia Chaos, accompanying the change of Pedro Vanucci's lives named to Lives do Pedro Vanucci X. 1. Also in 2022, Marco plagiarized the series Yumi the Plays e Suas Traves Suras, Yumi the Plays and Her Mischiefs, creating the series Pluft Fantasman e Suas Consequencias, Pluft the Little Ghost and His Consequences, whose episodes are posted on an official Instagram account of his. 1. 2. Logos for Pedro Vanucci and Marco Antonio's lives in 2022. In 2023, he started mentioning several local companies in Santa Catarina, such as Hante and Genharia, Trimania Cap, and others. Marco continued to plagiarize Pedro, but did not limit himself only to him, as the Santa Catarina native began to plagiarize the channel, graphics, and lives of Stanley Diaz, currently the owner of the Yuki Content and Artemis Media channels, with the channels Zurich Cast, Zurich Mendez, and MD Cast, and he also created an account called SD Castium UEPA Milgrau, SD Cast is in UEPA High Degree. 3. Stanley Diaz and Zurich Mendez channel home pages in 2023. The plagiarism was discovered by the live stream team of a famous YouTuber from the television community, who cannot be mentioned, who filed complaints against Marco Antonio, especially after discovering an unauthorized use of Pythagoras' Banado, banned, live stream jingle in one of Marco's lives, thus managing to take down the plagiarizing channels. 3. Around November 2023, Marco Antonio created the Magro TV account, plagiarizing the Rapro TV channel, and on this channel, Marco hosted lives titled Novidade de Live, Live Stream News, and Sessão Raimundo Session, blatantly plagiarizing Tentativa de Live, Live Attempt, and Sessão Discreca, Disaster Session, respectively. 1. Rapro TV and Magro TV channel home pages in 2023. Screenshot of an episode of Novidade de Live on the Magro TV channel, which never aired due to the takedown of the plagiarizing channel created by Marco Antonio. In January 2024, shortly after Magro TV was taken down, another channel called Auro TV was created, again plagiarizing Rapro TV, and in one of his lives, it is unknown when and on which account it occurred, but it is presumed to be on the Auro TV account. Marco Antonio banned a person, and soon after banning, he showed a video where he did horrible things to his father, showing what Marco would do to his haters. 4 other plagiarisms of Rapro TV made by Marco Antonio include the Mora TV and Florin TV channels, in addition to Marco Produco's, which plagiarized Pythagoras Produco's, Rai's new channel after the end of Rapro TV. 3. Auro TV channel homepage in 2023. Mora TV and Florin TV channel homepages in 2024. Marcolino 7010 channel homepage in 2024. Shortly after that famous YouTuber mentioned earlier did an exposed of Marco Antonio in March 2024. 3. The Santa Catarina native also targeted this YouTuber, creating the Marcolino 7010 account. 1. And on another account, Marco went back to plagiarizing Tentativa de Live and also copied the mentioned YouTuber's live program, creating Sustentativa de Live, Sustainable Live, and Cast Marco CZ007, respectively. He also started creating accounts to force the members of the original lives to unban Marco, spamming lives, and Discord servers. One of the most emblematic cases of this is when Marco repeatedly forced Pythagoras to unban him. 5. One of the many posts made on Marco Antonio's channels asking Pythagoras to unban him, or saying that he will unban Marco. In 2024, the Amendo Babo account, which later became the Amendo channel, currently deleted, hosted a live stream where Marco Antonio was supposedly going to try to expose Amendo, as at the time the Santa Catarina native often talked about unmasking him 5, but instead, he joked around in the live stream and sang a success song, ending the live without fulfilling the goal of unmasking Amendo. Cover of the song O Deve SCC Vai Ser Site Adeo, Deve SCC Will Be a Citizen, made by Marco Antonio and posted on one of the Marcoiso accounts. Starting from this live stream, Marco Antonio began his musical career, singing versions of children's songs, where he cited various people, especially his haters, with his main failure successes being Amendo Babo Chedo, Amendo Babo is annoying, 6 now filet? Didn't I tell you, 5 7, Amendo Babo, Vai Kakar OK Phaser, Amendo Babo, go find something to do. 8 9 and O Deve SCC Vai Ser Site Adeo, Deve SCC Will Be a Citizen. 5 10 Around the same time, Marco Antonio also created accounts, which plagiarized an account called Desmascarando Victor Dave Rodriguez Santos Unmasking Victor Dave Rodriguez Santos, to try to unmask various people, but he failed to unmask anyone because the videos made no sense. 5 Some of the victims of these unmasking channels were Rai Pythagoras, Amendo himself, a user named Sacro Imperio Duradu, and even Vitor Ruan himself, who was already criticizing the Santa Catarina natives' actions on his channels. 11 12 Meanwhile, Marco Antonio continued to plagiarize Pedro_Soren with these channels and names 1. Marco Estilizado, Pedro Estilizado, Marco ACF, Pedro HBV, Marco_Matthias, the most known plagiarism, Pedro_Soren. Pedro_Soren channel and one of the Marco_Matthias channel's homepages in 2025. In 2025, after making countless videos bothering Amendo, Marco Antonio started plagiarizing him by creating the Marcoiso account, which led Amendo to create a dossier about the Santa Catarina native. 1 It was in this year that the owner of TV Baldi's Basic, one of Vitor Ruan's haters, started supporting Marco, and he made various content for the Marco_Matthias channel. 13 In addition to provocative videos to the haters, including Vitor Ruan. Also in 2025, Marco made several invasions in the Compacto live chat, and one of the most emblematic was during an edition, where the owner of the Azulito Anima YT channel, creator of the Os Stickmanos series, even participated in the studio, titled Perdidos en a Noite de Lives, Lost in the Night of Lives, where the unbearable presence of the Santa Catarina native ended up resulting in a big rage from Vitor Ruan and some people who were in the live stream. 14 In mid-2025, for some unknown reason, in some recent accounts he created, Marco returned with an old live program of his called Marco CZ007 Lives, whose name and graphics are plagiarized from Pedro VX008 Lives, currently Stream Lives. In June of that year, the Santa Catarina native paid YouTube to advertise one of his channels, 16, making it reach 100 subscribers, and later 500, but currently this channel, which initially used the name Marco_Matthias, and shortly after, his full name, was apparently deleted. 16 In August 2025, when Amendo's brother, Mano Geladenho, created his YouTube channel to replace his deleted brother's channel, Marco Antonio quickly made copies of this channel with the accounts Mano Marshmallow 17 and Mano Arvorizenha, and on this last account, a poorly made parody of a high-five band song, directed at Pedro_Soren, nicknamed Paso Plagiar. Can I Plagiarize, despite this song not having an official name, was also posted, where he confesses that he will continue plagiarizing him. 18 Around the same time, he posted several videos where he copied the script of a deleted video by Kawan Nascimento, founder of the extinct Rede Kawan, directing it to some members of Team C. 19 20 21 On October 15, 2025, Marco Antonio turned 18, and thus some of his victims are planning to file a complaint with the Santa Catarina police to criminally convict Marco for his wrongful actions that have lasted more than 3 years.
TV Tem. The future is Yandere simulator.